Good evening, everybody. Are you excited to be here tonight? I'm excited about what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. I want you to make this confession over yourself. I believe in the power of confession. When you confess things, your subconscious hears it and then makes everything about you attract to you what it is that you confess. So I want you to just lay your hands on yourself and say this tonight. Say this: the rest of my days will be the best of my days. I am not a victim of anything nor anyone. I am a victor. Do you believe that tonight? We're so excited. Tonight we're going to be talking about commanding your life. And so do me a favor. You're standing now. So if you do me a favor, high five 2 or 3 people as you take your seats and just tell them this is going to be good for us. This is going to be good for us. And you can be seated. We welcome all those that are listening. And to tell you a little bit about me, I'm Dr. Foreman. I am a pastor, a church planner, an author, bishop, a success coach, and philanthropist, an entrepreneur. Been active in the private sector for several years prior to entering into ministry, and a mentor to many individuals, as well as a television and radio host. And so tonight I am speaking to you and sharing something with you that is going to speak to you regardless of the situation or circumstances you find yourself in. Whether you're a student, whether you're the chief executive of a major corporation, what I'm going to share with you is going to be transformational. Do you believe it's going to be transformational for you? Now, I want to get right into it because at the end of the day, I realize that sometimes we have short attention spans because we live in a generation that's a 140 character generation. That is how long a tweet can be. And so if it's longer than 140 characters, sometimes we don't even pay attention to it. So I'm going to be short, but I'm going to be strong. It's not going to be very long, but it's going to be very good for you. So it's going to be good for me. Now, I'm from the South, so in the South, as a pastor in the South, the people in the church talk back to the pastor in the South, and so it kind of helps him to get to where he's going because the people talk back. So if y'all will talk back to me, not only are you going to grow and be transformed, but I believe that it's going to be beneficial to everybody here. You believe that with me? Now, listen to this. There are 2 types of people listening to me right now. There are only 2 types. There are not 3. There are not 4. There are not 5. There are only 2 types of people. The first type of person is the kind of person that is going to happen to life. The second kind of person is a person where life is going to happen to them. Now, by the time I finish with this tonight, talking about how to command your life, it's my desire that you become that first type of person, a person that is happening to life. Say, I will happen to life. The difference is very simple. There are a type of person, or there is rather, a type of person that is sitting in the ashes of what they hoped life would be. They are an individual that is sitting in the vicissitudes or the problems of life that they have faced, and as they're sitting in those problems, they are sitting oftentimes feeling like a victim. They feel like, well, I got a bad deal, or this happened to me, or you know what, I hit a bad luck in life, or a bad lot in life. Things didn't really work out the way I planned, and so really they are simply living life, watch this, responding to life and what it throws at them, rather than throwing something at life. They are simply allowing life to dictate to them. You can afford this, but you can't afford this. You can go here, but you can't go there. You can have this, but you can't have that. And so really they are sitting, and life has happened to them, but they have not happened to life. And the reality is that there's tons of great excuses for why we say that life has happened to us, or I'm a victim, or this has happened to me. We got tons of great excuses, right? Maybe you weren't born in the right place. Maybe you didn't get the right kind of education. Maybe you didn't go to the right school. Maybe you've suffered from betrayal. Maybe you've had some big setbacks. But the reality is how long are you going to live in the excuses of what could have been? People that are high performers in life are people that realize, while I could make an excuse, I choose not to, because I can't stay stuck in that place, because I will not be a victim to what life throws at me. Life is going to know that I was here, and I'm going to throw everything I can at life. Say this with me. Say, I will command my life. Now, I'm going to use a literary technique called alliteration tonight to help give 4 simple solutions to commanding your life. Because if you want to happen to life, you're going to have to begin to command your life. If you're waiting on one day things to just fall out of the sky and just all of a sudden it's just going to come in and things are just going to happen for you, while that is possible, can I suggest to you that's not very probable? Now, all things are possible, but not all things are probable. There's many people that are sitting in life saying, well, one day something great's going to happen to me, and I'm just waiting on that day to happen. And many of those people die and get to the end of their lives and realize they were waiting on a day that while they were waiting on somebody else to make it happen, they could have commanded it to happen for them. Are you hearing what I'm saying? All right, so we're going to use alliteration. So the first thing I want to give you is everything's going to be with S's tonight. So alliteration just means we're going to start the same. It's going to have the same emphasis at the beginning of the word. So the first thing I want you to write down, if you're taking notes, and even if you're not taking notes, write it down. This means I think it's important that you take notes. You remember what you see. We're very visual. We're very visual, so we remember what we see. That's why you might not be able to articulate something to somebody, but you'll remember what it was next to. You ever had somebody ask you for directions and they said, well, what street is that on? You can remember the street, but you knew what it was next to. Well, it's next to the grocery store on this. It's next to the Kroger's over here. It's next to some of y'all know this from the Piggly Wiggly down the street. Y'all. Anybody know something about the Piggly Wiggly? Everybody don't know about the Piggly Wigglies. We didn't have Kroger and Mega Marts and stuff like that and Publix and stuff. No, we had Piggly Wigglies. And now, I want you to write this down. Say, I'm a student. I want you to write that down. I said I want you to write it, then say it. So let's do both. As you're writing it, let's say it. Say it. I'm a student. Now, that's so very important to understand, because here's what happens in life. In life, as you go through life, there are things that you think you have figured out. There's stuff that you say, well, I know this, I know that, I know this person, I know what they wouldn't do, I know what they would do, I know this circumstance, I know how to navigate it. And so sometimes in life you can begin to think of yourself as an expert, which is one of the most dangerous things that you could ever do. Because when you begin to see yourself as an expert, watch this, you'll begin to get depressed and feel defeated when things don't go the way that your expert opinion thought they should have. Have you ever noticed that oftentimes the experts can be wrong? Have you ever seen the experts get on TV and say this and that and the other, and then all of a sudden it's something totally different? And all of a sudden, many times that expert's opinion will be called into question because they're saying, if you were the expert, why didn't you know that this was going to happen? Have you ever had the meteorologist give you a weather report where you dressed based on what their forecast was to only discover that what the expert told you was not accurate? And so you went out that day and you had on shorts and thong sandals and a T-shirt to only discover that it was going to go from 60 that morning to 23 that evening, and it was going to be snowing by the time you got home. Okay, so say I'm a student. So check this out. A student is a perpetual learner. A student is a perpetual person who's growing. A student is perpetually stretching. So if you see life as a student, check this out, then you're going to see every new year simply as a new grade level. Okay? When you're an expert, when you think you're an expert at something, then when something challenges what you think you know, then you fight back. But when you see yourself as a student, you take a second look and say, well, wait a minute, maybe what I thought I had figured out, maybe what I thought I knew, maybe it's not so. So what I got to do is I got to step back and I got to become a student. Check this out. Every year, a student, they go from kindergarten to first grade to second grade to, third grade to fourth grade, fifth grade. You get the point, right? Every year, a student realizes they are simply going to another level as it relates to their learning. They don't see themselves as having arrived because they realize I got another grade level that comes after this. So when you approach life as an expert, you think, well, I've arrived because I'm this age, or I've arrived because I've got this degree, or I've arrived because I got this much money in the bank, or I've arrived because my business has accomplished X, Y, Z. But the reality is when you think you've arrived, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, by technical definition, you're dead. So what happens is you have to approach every day as a student, which means, watch this, the other day I was with someone and there was a song that came on the radio, and as soon as the song came on the radio, I said, I hate this song. And they said, well, why do you hate it? I said, I don't know. And then they said, well, who sings it? I said, I don't know that either. Now, I knew all the words to the song. I didn't know who sang the song. I didn't know why I hated the song. But then I was with a very musical person, and so all of a sudden they said, well, wait a minute, I can hear what's wrong. Is that the tambourine guy that's going, he is totally ahead of the beat than everybody else. Everybody else is sitting in the pocket. Music people, you understand what the pocket is. Everybody else is sitting in the pocket, but he is way ahead of that beat. You ever been standing next to somebody and music was going and they were way ahead of the beat or either way behind the beat? And so they got clapping on a whole nother frequency of beat. And you're like, well, what in the world? What song are you? That is not the 2 and the 4. Where are you at? Now, I said I couldn't figure out why I hated the song. He pointed out something in the song that I'd never paid attention to. And once he pointed it out, I said, that's exactly why I hate that song, because it's off beat. What's the point I'm making? Is that something as simple as that is that you have to approach every situation as a student. A lot of times we think we have everything figured out. You think you know exactly how your career is going to go. You think you know exactly how your business is going to go. You think you know exactly how your marriage is going to go. You think you know exactly how your family is going to go. You think you know exactly how your spiritual life is going to go. And then all of a sudden you get dealt a day that challenges your expert opinion. Anybody ever been dealt a day that challenges your expert opinion? And all of a sudden now you go from being a person that knew everything about everything to somebody who knows nothing about nothing. And you're just trying to figure out what in the world is going on here. So if you're going to command your life, you got to start as a student. I don't think I'm an expert at anything. I know some stuff, but I'm learning every single day. Say I'm a student. All right, now check this out. Check this out. When you approach life as a student, you see every new year or every new day or every new month, you simply see it as an opportunity for you to continue to grow because it's nothing but a different grade level. Does it make sense? All right, so here we are. If you're going to command your life, because there's how many kind of people listening to me right now? 2. What's the first group? People that are going to happen to life. What's the second group? People that life is going to happen to them. Now, I just need, by the sound of your voices, I just need to know what kind of group of people I'm talking to. If you're the kind of person where you want to happen to life, would you just make some noise for me if that's you? Now, if you're the kind of person that says, well, life can just do whatever it's going to do, and I'm just going to be a lowly, dusty road victim to whatever life throws at me, would you make some noise for me? Okay, nobody. Now, some of y'all didn't make no noise, so which one? There are 4 things you got to do if you want to command your life, which means I am not a victim. I am not a victim of circumstances. I'm not a victim of situations. I'm not a victim of what so-and-so did. I'm not a victim of any of those things. There's 4 things you got to do. The first thing is you got to see past it. You got to see past it. Now listen, if you're trying to accomplish anything great in life, in your business or in your career, there's going to be obstacles. I wish I could tell you that there was not going to be obstacles. But the reality is that whenever you're making forward progress, there are going to be obstacles. Obstacles don't mean you're in the wrong place doing the wrong thing. Sometimes obstacles mean that you're doing the right thing and you're doing them in the right place. And the obstacle is simply to test how great your desire is. Okay? Say obstacles and opposition are opportunity. Now check this out. When we view this and when we look at this through the lenses of seeing past it, one of the things that is going to keep you motivated, because if you can stay motivated and if you can stay encouraged, you're going to be able to accomplish anything. And so one of the things that helps us create environments of motivation is our ability to see past whatever the obstacle is. Have you ever been driving somewhere and directly in front of you there is what seems to be miles and miles of traffic, but you were on a place to where you were maybe on a hill or maybe you were in a valley, and you had the opportunity to see that this traffic jam is not always going to be like this. You were able to see that, well, down the road, it's going to clear out. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Have you ever, maybe ladies, you were at Black Friday sales and it looked like the entire store was packed and full of people and they were in your way because you only had to buy 3 things and the lady in front of you had 4 and 5 baskets. But you peeked around her to see that while she was an obstacle that seemed to be in the way, once you peeked around, you realized, well, this really isn't that bad. I'm almost to my destination. It's the same thing in life. We got to be able to see past the obstacles, because if we can't see past it, then we'll never see it. Say, I must see past it. Now, everybody has a different end. But people that command their lives can see past obstacles. I remember early on in my professional career, I had taken a job that it was a fairly new industry to me, but I had caught on to it real quickly. And as I was progressing through that, I had started with a company, and I was producing, I'm talking about really well, within the first few months. Here's the problem. While I was producing, the things I was producing, they weren't coming out the other end. So while I was getting stuff in, stuff wasn't closing and coming out the other end. I had what seemed to be production, but I didn't seem to have any results. I didn't seem to have any fruit. And so I can remember getting very discouraged, and I can remember thinking to myself, my goodness, listen, in the first 3 months at that company, I was the top producer. But while I was the top producer, I didn't have no money coming in. Anybody, am I the only one that's had a situation like that? I was working hard, but I didn't have any money coming in. My name was at the top of the performance list, and I was getting all the special recognition, but I said, I need a check. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Nobody ever did. I said, it's great that I'm the top producer, but I need that to turn into some do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, something. I can remember being really discouraged, and I had to go and get a job to supplement because I believe in a principle that says a man that doesn't work doesn't eat. So I believe that in order to eat, I got to work, and since I like to eat well, I need to work well. Anybody else like to eat well? Okay, that's the principle I live by. Now, in that, I got really discouraged, so I went and got this other job. And I was working, and I can remember thinking to myself, well, maybe, watch this, maybe I'm just not cut out to do this. Maybe I'm just not good enough to do this. Even though I've got some progress going, it's not really working for me. Maybe I just was wrong. Maybe I need to just go and do something else because this isn't really working for me. And so for 2 or 3 months of that, I just kept doing it. And then as I continued to see past my obstacle, I got little drips that came through the faucet. You ever had drips come through? You couldn't quite say it was like a flood of great stuff happened, but it was a drip. They gave you $1.50 off of your meal, and you were only supposed to get 75 cents off. And so it's not like a flood, but you're like, well, that's something. So you got to learn how to celebrate the drips. Do I have any people in here that know how to celebrate drips? I know the flood's coming, but I just got to learn how to celebrate drips, because if I can't celebrate the cloud, I'll never see the rain. And so I can remember thinking that I was discouraged, and then all of a sudden, just a little progress and little production, and then all of a sudden, the production, because I was consistent, because I kept seeing past my obstacle. Every time I went out, I was thinking to myself, well, I was going and I was meeting with clients and different things, and every time I would go out, I would think, well, shoot, maybe I need to have them come here, because what if this deal doesn't close, and gas and all that, and I said, I got to go do this job, and I got to do that, and all these things were going on in my brain, and I finally said to myself, I got to see past this, watch this, because if I can't see past it, I'm never going to see it. An obstacle, watch this, just means I got to peek around you. You keep getting in front of your obstacle, and you get stuck, and you get froze, and you get paralyzed. But what you got to do when an obstacle comes in front of you, you just got to take a peek around. Because that obstacle is not going to be the end of your story. That obstacle is not going to be the end of your business. That obstacle is not going to be the end of your career. It's just an obstacle, but you got to see past it, because people that command their life can see past it. Say, I see past it. See, when you're able to see past it, what you're doing is you're really creating, watch this, you're creating the next S, which is you got to say it until you see it. You got to say it until you see it. Got to say it until you see it. Now, let me say this to you. Don't stop saying it because you don't see it. Now, while I was feeling discouraged, in that particular example I was giving you, while I was feeling discouraged and while I was thinking, wow, I don't know that this is going to work and I don't know that this is going to happen, I kept saying to myself, I am the top producer in my company. Now, I didn't have checks coming out the other end, but I kept getting up every morning and looking in that mirror and saying, you are the top producer. You know less than all of them, but yet you're outproducing all of them. So evidently there's something about you that you haven't quite figured out about yourself. So I kept saying it, I kept saying it, I kept saying it, and then I realized that I have to say it until I see it, because if I don't say it, I'll never see it. Don't get lost in the saying and the seeing and the seeing and the sawing and the saying and the seeing. Don't get lost in that. Now check this out. Here's what happens. Whatever you perpetually hear is what you will eventually believe. Whatever it is you perpetually hear, it's what you will eventually believe. If you grew up and you kept hearing that you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not smart, you're not this, you're not this, I wish you were more like this person, I wish you were more like that person, then eventually you started to believe that. Eventually you started to say, well, you know what, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not cut out to do, maybe I'm not. Because you perpetually heard it. Here's what happens. When you hear something, a thought now forms based on the words that you heard. That thought now becomes lodged in your subconscious, and your subconscious mind is more powerful than your conscious mind. Let me prove it to you. Your subconscious mind makes you do the things that you don't even pay attention to the fact that you do them. Check this out. You didn't consciously just move your shoulder like that. Your subconscious mind did that. You don't consciously, if you're a gum smacker, most gum smackers don't realize that they are gum smackers. They just subconsciously think that you have to chew it that way because they are attempting to extract every amount of flavor out of that gum. And you're thinking to yourself, do you really have to do it like that? Your subconscious mind is very powerful because lodged in it are the experiences that you've encountered in life. And it judges now the way you respond. It dictates the way that you handle things. It dictates the way that you view things. If you are a person who have viewed yourself as a victim, every time something happens to you, you see yourself as being victimized. So when something happens on your job, you say, I can't believe they did me like this. Could it have been that maybe it wasn't them, maybe it was you, but because of the lenses through which you saw it, because of your subconscious mind and your experiences, that you didn't actually see it as it was, but you saw it as you were. Does that make sense? So here's what happens. Whatever I perpetually hear, I will what? Eventually believe. So check this out. One of the things that happens is that it's not just an issue of speaking positive things. That's good. It's not just an issue of doing that. But it's an issue of creating an environment where I am, watch this, I am increasing the thermostat in my life. And I do that through what I say. What do you mean increasing the thermostat? What do you mean increasing the thermostat? Well, check this out. Remember, there's two kinds of people. People that happen to life, people that life happens to them. So if I'm going to happen to life, I cannot let life dictate to me my environment. Nor can I let life dictate to me, watch this, the climate around me. It is right now, as we are recording this tonight, it is cold in the entire United States of America. Everybody's cold. It's cold in Southern California, and they told me it never rains in Southern California, but it is cold. It is cold in Florida. It's cold everywhere. In fact, in certain parts of the South, I heard reports that it was like the wind chill was like -40, and they were throwing water in the air, and it was freezing. And I just said, OMG, IJS. Now check this out. While it is cold outside, many of us in your homes, the heat is just below hell. So that by the time you get into your house, it's going to be nice and toasty. Some of you, it's so hot when you get in the house, you have to disrobe just to get cool. I had my heat up so hot the other day, I had to turn the air on even though it was freezing outside. I said, I'm too hot. Say, I'm going to command my life. All right, which means very simply, I cannot allow life to dictate the temperature, the climate, the environment. So then the way I control that is through my words. My words are framing my life. Check this out. Because when I hear myself say it, then my subconscious mind hears it, and then it begins to make preparations for it. I'm going to say it again. When you hear yourself say it, now I'm changing the climate. I'm changing the atmosphere around me. But then from there, my subconscious mind hears it, and whatever I perpetually hear, I'm eventually going to believe. So when you say to yourself, I am great. Now just define what it is that you're great at, because you could be a great liar. So just define whatever it is that you're going to be great at. Just define whatever your greatness is going to be. But when you hear yourself say that, I know some people say, I can't say that. Okay, well then just let life keep happening to you. Okay, but when you say to yourself, I am a great business owner, okay, your subconscious mind is going to perpetually hear that. And then it's going to make everything about you produce that result. Let me prove it to you. When you heard negative things, what did you naturally produce? Negative. When you were told that you were, I was listening to a man, he was telling a story the other day about how a teacher told him that he wasn't good enough to go to college and he wasn't smart enough. And so his best hope was to just get to school on a football scholarship. And so one day, as this man was going through school, he was going through and one of the teachers said, why aren't you serious? Why aren't you taking this serious? Why are you playing around? Why aren't you taking your this serious? I mean, this is your life now. You can't play with this anymore. And he said, well, I'm not smart. And his teacher said, well, who told you that? She said, listen, you pass all the tests. She said, and you get great grades when you pass the test. He said, well, Miss So-and-so told me that I wasn't college material and that I wasn't good enough to do that, so I just figured I wouldn't pay it any attention. Check it out. His subconscious mind perpetually heard it, so then he eventually believed it. So then everything about him made him produce poorly, even though he was capable of producing well. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So as students, what's the first thing we do if we're going to control our lives, command our lives? See past it. Secondly, we got to say it until we see it. Here's the third one. You got to sow into it. S-O-W. You got to sow into it. Now, watch this. Most people, or maybe I won't say most, many people have this approach to life. The approach to life that they have is that, well, I'm working to make a living. That's how many people live. They're working to make a living. So they go to their jobs, and many times almost kind of in dread because they figure, well, I just got to go do this until, the end of the week, and then I got 2 days to, do what I want to do, and then I got to go back to this. Well, that's not really living. That's not enjoying life. That's not enjoying life. Watch this. People who command their lives realize that even if they're working a job that perhaps is something not what they want to do for the rest of their lives, or maybe it's not what they thought they'd be doing, even if they're flipping burgers or dipping fries into the fry pan, they realize and understand this, that since I can see past it, I'm going to give this my best, because I realize that if I can't be great here, I'm not going to be able to be great here. Because if I'm waiting on my environment and circumstances to change to be great, they won't change. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Which means it doesn't matter what you find yourself doing, is that everything we do, we should be doing well, because we realize I can see past this, and I realize that if I'm flipping burgers now, I'm not going to be flipping them always. Maybe I'm a small business owner now and only got a few employees, but I can see past that, and I can see myself having dozens and hundreds and thousands. I realize I can see past this, so since I can see past this, I've got to sow into it. What does that mean, sow into it? So check this out. It's changing your mindset. You live to make a giving. You live to make a giving. Giving makes you feel better. You ever gave something to somebody and felt really good? You ever gave something away and felt really good about giving it away? You ever gave somebody, it could have been something real simple. You could have just gave somebody a compliment, and then you walk away and feel really good about you. Well, you were the one that gave, but all of a sudden now you feel better about you. So what happened? When you are a person that commands your life, you realize that since you're a student, that when you show up, you're not just supposed to take, but you're also supposed to give. Takers are normally haters, and haters get benched. Let me translate what I just said, because perhaps you're not familiar with the colloquialisms that I just used. People that always are trying to just get something, What's in it for me? With them. What's in it for me? What am I going to get? How is this going to benefit me? How is it? People that only view life through that lens are people that are normally very critical. And they normally don't like seeing others do well because others now are producing at a level higher than them, and they think that they should be producing at that level, but they don't realize the other one's producing at that level because they're a giver, not a taker. Regardless of what you want to call the principle, you can call it reaping and sowing. Whatever you want to call that principle, is that it's very simple, is eventually I'm going to get back what it is that I've been putting out. And it's going to be bigger and stronger and greater than it was than when I first put it into the ground. So when I realize that I live to make a giving, I make sure that I sow well. So the reason I do a good job is because I want people to do a good job for me. The reason that I'm consistent in this is because I want people to be consistent with me. The reason that I do a good job on maybe this job that you're thinking, oh, wow, I really wish I was doing something else. But the reason you do a good job there is because, check this out, you don't know who's watching. And not only do you not know who's watching, you don't know what opportunities lie ahead of you that are going to require somebody that knows how to sow. So say this, say, I live to make a giving. Okay? Giving makes you feel better. Giving secures your future. When you're a giver, you never have to worry about what the future is going to look like. Because you know, watch this, very simple. If you're a farmer and you plant seeds, and you plant lots of seeds, you realize that you're always going to have harvest coming in. So then I've secured my future. Say that with me. Say, I've secured my future. I secure my future because I'm a person that knows how to sow. I'm a person that knows how to give. So watch this. I don't even do it just because you're going to do something back to me or for me. I do it because that's just who I am. How many of us sometimes are a bit, shall we say, curt with other people because people are first curt with you. And then once you do that, all of a sudden now you feel worse. And then you're like, you kind of go through this crazy cycle, right? Well, what if you flipped it and reversed it and started commanding your life? What if you said, it doesn't matter what you do because I am who I am. Who I am is a sower, and I'm a giver. And since I'm a giver, you can give me all the dirty looks you want, but I'm going to smile back. Because I'm a giver, it doesn't matter that you didn't do for me. It's because I wasn't doing it to get something done for me. I'm a giver. I'm a sower. That's who I am. So since that's who I am, that's just what I do. Too often in life, we're wanting to only do if we got a guaranteed return from who we did it for, who we did it to. You're not going to succeed that way in business. I remember in business, I developed a marketing piece. It was a phenomenal marketing piece. And, I just gave the marketing piece to some other individuals that I work with and said, oh, here it is. You can go and you can use it. And of course, you're always a student, right? So I didn't realize at that point that I probably should have licensed it to them. Because they made literally millions of dollars off the piece. And so, I'm looking and saying, y'all sure made a lot of money off of that. You're not even, take me to lunch or, take me to dinner, do something. Don't make me feel that cheap. Do something. And as I was looking back over it, I then looked at the subsequent opportunities that were afforded to me in life, and I realized that in that instance, what I was doing was just sowing. And since I was sowing, it didn't matter, even though they succeeded well. I succeeded well based off that piece, and they succeeded extremely, exceptionally well off that piece. I remember thinking to myself, well, you know what? I just sowed. It's too late. I can't cry about it, and I'm not going to sit here and be angry at them because they didn't give back to me. That's just who I am. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Family is one of the areas where you really can experience that. Because oftentimes the people closest to you know how to hurt you the deepest. And so one of the things that happens is that sometimes you can be mean to the people right around you and nice to everybody else. Oh, I guess it got too real in the Command Your Life teaching. Does the bishop have to come out for just a moment right here? Or can we stay? So watch this. What happens is sometimes you can be mean to the people around you because you've got all of these deficits that they have begun to accumulate in your mind. And so out of the deficits that they've begun to accumulate in your mind, now you're nice to everybody else, but when you see them, you say good morning to everybody else, but to them, you give everybody else a full-fledged conversation, but to them, you give them a, come on, be with everybody. You're real wonderful to everybody else. Everybody else knows how your day was. Everybody else knows everything. But to the people closest to you, you can be, because you've accumulated all of these deficits because you sowed expecting to get from them, not realizing that being a sower is just what you do when you command your life. So even if it doesn't come back from you, so what? I'm a commander. Say that with me. I'm a commander. All right, so since I'm a commander, it doesn't matter that you didn't do it back to me because guess what? Somebody else will be raised up to do it for me. If you won't, somebody else will. Are you hearing what I'm saying? All right, so we see past it. We say it until we see it. We sow into it. All right? So this is very important. Write this down. Write this down. This is really important. This is really important. It's called an inexpensive investment. Inexpensive investments are things that cost you very little, but they mean a lot to who they're invested to. It's an inexpensive investment. Often, inexpensive investments are things that can be done that sometimes we'll withhold because, again, we've accumulated all of these deficits that people somehow owe. But the funny thing about it is sometimes we don't even communicate that they owe the deficits. And so then in our attitude and our body language and how we treat them, we're trying to tell them, you got a deficit with me. Rather than just saying, hey, I said hi to you. And you didn't say it to me. What's going on? Especially in business. Hey, I covered that project for you, and I just noticed you didn't say anything about it. Maybe they didn't know that you had done it. Maybe, especially if you're building a business, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, especially if you want to build something from scratch. I have built successful organizations from the ground up, from scratch, and built them from nothing. Took toothpicks and gum and made successful organizations. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But now check this out. I had to understand that if I was going to be successful, that it was going to require me, watch this, sowing intensely up front to reap greatly on the back end. I was going to have to live differently for a period of time so that I could live different for a period of time. Let me say it another way. Dave Ramsey, who's a great financial guru, he says it like this. If you'll live like no one else, one day you'll live like no one else. Meaning this is that sometimes many people don't have the fortitude and the intestinal prowess, if you will, to say, I got to live different for right now, just for a little bit. But once this little bit's over, I'm going to live differently. Now, some of y'all still aren't getting it, which means you may have to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches right now while you're building your business, while you're building your family, while you're recovering from a financial setback. But while I'm living differently right now, while I'm saving up and while I'm sowing and while I'm giving and while I'm doing all of these things, one day I'm going to live differently than everybody else. See, if I can't sow on the front end, I can't expect to receive on the back end. It's amazing how many times that we think, well, you know, I've been seeing past it, Dr. Foreman. I've been seeing past it. I've been saying unto it, and I've been sowing into it, and it's been 2 weeks, and nothing has changed. Check this out. Let me make this real simple for you. If you were to go, I know the ground is like frozen tundra right now, but when it thaws, if you were to go and to place some seeds in the ground tonight, who among us would go out tomorrow and say, where is my harvest? Who would do that? If you were to plant, I remember when I was a little kid, I thought that you could plant watermelon seeds. Don't laugh at me, you did it too. I thought that I could plant watermelon seeds, and then I came up in the South. So in the South, we didn't just have watermelon, we have eggplant and all kind of stuff. So I took some eggplant seeds and all that, and I just thought I was going to have eggplants and watermelon and tomatoes. And then I remember going out that next season and looking at it and saying, where in the world is my harvest? Here's the point I'm making, is that you would not plant anything tonight in the ground and expect to see a harvest tomorrow. So then why would you think that you can apply, you've only learned 3 of the principles, why would you think that you can apply the 3 for 2 weeks and then automatically expect to see a harvest? Expect to see some fruit. Expect to see some results. Check this out. If you've been sowing life happening to you for 40 years of your life, 50 years of your life, for 10 years of your business, for 15 years of your relationship, for whatever it is, if you've been sowing that, then don't expect that overnight things are going to change. You would not do that. If you were a farmer, you wouldn't do that. So then why would you do that in your life? Just look at somebody and say, why would you do that? 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 All right? Any commanders in the place with me tonight? All right? So the first, we're alliterating tonight. The first is, see past it. The second one is, say it until you see it. The third one is, sow him to it. Here's the last one. Here's the last one. Here's the last one. Here's the last one. Serve through it. Serve through it. Now check this out. Since you're a student, in antiquity, student, that term was also interchangeable and tantamount to the term servant. Okay? It was tantamount. Those words were interchangeable. So now check this out. Whatever you're doing in life, whether it's your job, whether you're a person of faith and you're serving at your church, whether you are a parent or whatever it is, since you're a student, that means by default you're also a servant. Now check this out. In life, when the obstacles come, because they're going to come, right? We already know that they're going to come. You're going to be having a great month, and then all of a sudden, some deal from 4 months ago, you're going to be like, what? Okay? When the obstacles come, what most of us, or maybe not most of us, what many of us have a bad habit of doing is stopping what's working to try something else. Many of us have a bad habit of stopping what's working to try something else. Let me prove it to you. It is the beginning of the year 2014, and so gyms this month saw a surge in memberships. Everybody goes to the gym now. You see people that just don't look like the gym-going type, and they got on their sport T-shirt, and and they got all their gym material on, and they got their water bottle in their car, and then when you see them, they want you to know they went to the gym, and so, what? Oh, you doing all right? Just got from the gym. They don't even wipe the sweat off of their forehead because they want you to see the sweat because they want you to know that they went to the gym. Or maybe they got one of the workout tapes, and so they were doing their dances, because they were trying to get their abs. They were going to hip-hop their abs, or they were going to P90X it out, or they were going to do something. And so, they'll conveniently leave the DVD in the passenger side of the car, and they'll open that door, even though there was nothing on that side of the car, so you can see that DVD, so you can say, do you do that? Oh, yeah, I just did it this morning. Woo! Now check this out. While this month there is a great surge in that because everybody is motivated. It's a new year. It's going to be better than last year. I'm going to experience things greater than I experienced last year. It's going to be great. I'm 8 days into the year. I've worked out 4 times. I wake up every day, I'm commanding my days, I'm commanding my mornings, I'm calling things that aren't as though they were, and I'm seeing past it, and I'm sowing into it, and I'm doing all of that, and all that is great because it's fresh. But then what happens when the unexpected happens? What happens when the stuff you weren't planning on takes place? What happens when you experience the disappointment? What happens when you experience the setback? What happens when you wake up and that positive energy is just not there that day? Anybody know what I'm talking about? What happens? Have you ever just woke up one morning and just something where you just like, I don't know why I can't just, something is just, what is it? What many of us have a tendency of doing is stopping what's working to try something else. So gyms, they've got a big surge right now of people working out. But in about 2 weeks, all of a sudden, the gyms are packed now. Everybody's there because everybody wants everybody to see them working out. Everybody's Instagramming, Facebooking, got from the gym. And some of that's not even sweat. Some of that's the water that's spilled. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Some of that's not even sweat. Some of that, you're like, woo, you worked out hard. No, their water spilled when they were drinking it. That's water. That's not sweat. About 2 weeks, many people are going to stop. And they're going to stop because the results they thought they'd see in that period of time, they don't see. They're going to stop because while they were doing their bench press, Zeus came up next to him. And Zeus started benching. And when they looked at what Zeus was benching, they started making comparisons between them and Zeus, not realizing Zeus has been doing that for 10 years. So now they're discouraged, and now they're depressed, and now they're defeated. And so now all of a sudden, they stopped doing what was working to try something else. They stopped doing what was working to try something else. As I close with this tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. As I close with this, most of the medicines that we take, I'm going to connect the dots for you in just a moment. Most of the medicines that we take, maybe you don't know this, but they're not actually designed to fix anything. They are simply designed to conceal. They didn't remove the source of pain. They simply blocked you from feeling the pain. And in fact, if you read many of the containers of the medicine, it will tell you, do not take this after a certain period of time because you're not made to live off of pain relievers. You're just made to not have the pain. So last week I got a little sniffly. And I don't like it. The first sign of illness or sickness, I begin to medicate with everything. I mean, I send nukes after it. You understand? So I got a little sniffly. So I got a secret weapon that I tell every person I ever get an opportunity to tell about. It is a secret weapon. I mean, your leg could be broke. You could take that and your leg would just magically come back together. I mean, it is just a secret weapon. And so I began to take that. And I was feeling better. And I woke up. I said, I think I feel really good. And then all of a sudden, later on that day, I figured out, well, it wasn't quite going. And I went and read the box. And the box says, do not take this for more than 7 days. Consult your physician. In other words, the box was saying, this medicine is only designed to temporarily relieve symptoms. We're not designed to fix the problem. Now, what are you trying to say when you say serve through it? When problems come, oftentimes the pain reliever we take is a pain reliever called quit. Oftentimes the pain reliever we take is a pain reliever. Well, I guess I'm not good enough. I guess I can't do this. I guess nothing ever works out for me. I guess I'm not going to succeed at this. Well, that was a pain reliever. You're not meant to live on that. Because it doesn't remove the source of the pain. It doesn't actually fix the problem. Oftentimes, we stop doing what's working to try something else. You were eating right. And then all of a sudden, you made a deal with yourself over the holidays. Where are the deal makers at? You be honest. You made a deal. And so when you made this deal with yourself over the holidays, but I'm just going to have one. Will y'all be honest with me? And then one turns into, well, it's Christmas too. In your business, you said, I know I need to be more organized. I know I need to be more efficient. I will do it tomorrow. I know that the reason it takes me 15 hours to do everything is because I don't know where anything is. With families, well, I know we got all these issues, but let's just laugh and act like there are none because we'll take the pain reliever and deal with it later. Let's talk about that tomorrow. Here's what happens. When the obstacles come and when pain comes, people who command their lives serve through it. They don't stop doing what's working to try something else. Because if it's working, give it time to work. I wouldn't sow last night and expect to receive back tomorrow. I would not give one kind gesture and expect to get 10 of them back the next day. So since that's not how I expect, then I got to expect and understand that when things come my way and when challenges come my way, I serve through them. Which means when you get challenges on your job, rather than going in there with a bad attitude and rather than going in there telling everybody your side of the story and this and that, you just work through it. When pain happens in your life and you're a person of faith and you're serving in your church, you don't stop serving in order to go deal with your problem because your serving is what was getting you through your problem. People have this concept of I just need to take a sabbatical. People who command their lives serve through stuff. As a pastor, as a preacher, I deal with many things, and I'm done, but I just wanted to illustrate the point for you. I deal with lots of things all the time, and one of the things that often happens is that you can deal with, people can be people. And so sometimes you have to deal with people being people. And so there have been probably more times than I can count to where something said, well, don't preach this weekend. Just take a rest. Just let somebody else do it. Just call in a guest. You need some time to deal with this. You need some time to process this. And the reality is this, is that what I did is I did what I do, which is that I preached through it. Because that's what I do, remember? So serving is doing what you do. So if you've got a job, that means you work through it. If you've got a business, that means you run your business through it. If you're a mother, that means you mother through it. If you're a father, that means you father through it. Whatever it is, you just serve through it. And I would get up and I'd preach, and then I'd get done preaching and I'd say, God, dog, that's all right. Didn't you preach? And on some of the days where I thought, I didn't really like how that one went, those are the days where people have the knockdown, drag out, fall out testimonies. Because I served through it. When many people get to the retirement stages of life, what happens is that oftentimes they have to find something new to keep them busy. Because as humans, we were meant to serve through stuff. So when you just sit up and don't do anything and just wake up and just sit around and just do nothing and just go nowhere and just do more nothing, and then after that do some more nothing, and then after that have a little bit more nothing. See, that's why it's so easy to get caught up in gossip, because you don't have your own business, so you get involved in other people's business. That's how gossip gets started. Just you don't have anything going on, so you get involved in what other people got going on. So messy people normally don't have messages of their own, so they have to get involved in other people's. But they have to get busy. They have to do something. Firefighters fight fires. That's what they do. Cars drive. That's what they do. The weather's bad around the country right now, but those cars are driving through it. That's what they do. That's what they do. So people who command their lives, when stuff happens to them, they just serve through it. Which means it might be painful, but I'm pressing through it. I may have to cry sometimes, but I'm pressing through it. It may be uncomfortable sometimes, but I'm pressing through it. I may not even feel like it today, but I'm pressing through it. I may not even see how my business is ever going to recover, but I'm pressing through it. I may not see how my company is ever going to be able to break that threshold, but I am pressing through it. Maybe you're a student and you're saying, I don't even know if I want this degree anymore because I didn't realize it was going to be this much. Why? But they work through it. Because commanders are not people where life happens to them. A commander says, throw me whatever you got and watch me see past it. Watch me say it until I see it. Watch me sow into it and watch me serve through it. Why? Because I'm a student. And so since I'm a student, I realize I don't know everything that there is to know. So every day I'm learning something new. Every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm getting stronger. Every day I'm figuring out something that I hadn't known the day prior. Any people in here going to command your life? Any people in here going to command your life? Any people in here tired of life happening to you, but you say, this year I'm going to happen to life. This is the year my company goes to places I never dreamed it could go. This is the year my business goes to places I never dreamed it could go. This is the year my life goes to places I never dreamed that it could go. Why? Because I'm a commander and I'm going to command my life. Did you enjoy that tonight? Did you enjoy that tonight? Amen. Amen.